Hi, this is Ken Pratt, a longtime researcher and experimenter in alternative energy systems and ideas. My proposed project combines several technologies and ideas into one high output, high efficiency energy production system. Background: I start with the basic electrolyzer system of splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen. I don't try to separate the different products, as that is going to be part of the overall high output, high efficiency mechanism. The produced gases are called oxyhydrogen, HHO, or Brown's gas. Once gas production has started, hydrogen and oxygen gas bubbles form on the electrodes. These bubbles block the current flow wherever there is a bubble on an electrode. Once a bubble has grown to a large enough size, it then leaves the electrode and rises to the top of the electrolyte, normally by buoyancy principles. This process is hampered by bubbles sticking to the electrodes and reducing the available area for the current to flow until the bubble is big enough that it detaches by itself. Solution: my proposal is to remedy the general inefficiency of bubble blockage is to shake off, brush away, or remove the bubbles by a shock wave or a flow pattern in a similar way that nature does, but much more energetically and far earlier when the bubble is just forming. Here is nature doing it on a grand scale, essentially creating concentric cylinders as shown here by the Thunderbolts project.
Since we're aware of the groundbreaking work of Thunderbolt's colleague, Dr. Donald E. Scott. It was a few years ago that Dr. Scott first published his mathematical modeling of the structure of a Birkeland current, which is visualized as counter-rotating cylindrical shells. In past interviews, Dr. Scott noted that counter-rotational patterns are seen in the vortexes at the poles of both of the gas giants, Jupiter and Saturn. Indeed, the counter-rotational wind movements associated with Jupiter's cyclones is not surprising if incoming Birkeland currents are contributing to the phenomena.
If you watch this video of a Joe cell power test, you can see an area where there is a swirling vortex flow developed in between two tubes. This is the key phenomenon that we want to encourage to happen at every point from all electrode tubes. As this vortex action swirls, the electrolyte next to the electrode, it brushes or sends shock waves against the electrodes, and it removes any developing bubbles. It puts them into the electrolyte stream and develops a polarized EVO, or exotic vacuum object stream, flowing throughout the electrolyte. Advancement: it is my belief that the rising bubbles naturally want to spin as they rise up to the surface. This effectively creates counter-rotating columns of bubbles and electrolyte. If you watch closely, you may see evidences of these counter-rotating columns in the Joe cell video. But this is relying on the bubbles to self-organize themselves into a spin-stabilized mechanism. I propose that we spin the tubes in a counter-rotating manner to ensure extreme hydrodynamic shear between the tubes, causing vortex flows and producing EVO, or exotic vacuum objects, charged streams of electrolyte flow. Final goal: once these EVOs, or exotic vacuum objects, charged flows of electrolyte have been established, they become highly magnetically charged. High magnetic charges flowing through or past a loop of wire create an EMF voltage in the wire and thus become a generator. One only needs to direct the flow of charged bubble, electrolyte, or EVO streams through the appropriate generator and cooling coils to maintain the generation of power at a constant and safe rate. Thank you for your consideration and time.